Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out to join us for this wreath-laying ceremony. I think we're just going to get that break in the weather that we were hoping for. We'll attribute that to Rutherford and maybe Joan, maybe the chaplain. So, my name is Christy Weininger. I'm the executive director here at the Hayes Presidential Library and Museums, and I'm so pleased to see all of you. This is something that we do annually on behalf of the federal government. The sitting President of the United States does this for every deceased President of the United States, honors them with this type of military wreath-laying ceremony. Each site has their choice of the President's birth date or the date that they passed away. Rutherford was born October 4th. He passed away in January, so we decided it was better to be out here in the fall and be surrounded by these beautiful, majestic trees changing into the fall season here at Spiegel Grove. So again, thank you for joining us. We just, and I see some of you have been with us for the past couple of days. We just wrapped up the American President's Film and Literary Festival, which we are a partner organization of, that was held here in Fremont. And one of the films that we honored at won the award for short film was called Tikkun Olam, and it was about a veteran, a homeless veteran, who was befriended by a young boy. And it was such a poignant film. I'm looking at some of you who saw it. Luckily, we all had tissues with us because it really struck all of us in the heart. And as much as the next few minutes that we all are together for this wreath-laying ceremony and focusing on Rutherford, I think we should all keep in mind that we all have faith in our military. We know these are some of the strongest men and women on the planet, but they do suffer occasionally and they do struggle occasionally, and so we should keep that in mind as well. And as much as we want to honor Rutherford today, let's remember to support our troops always. So with that, I would like to recognize the members of our military who are with us, joining us this afternoon for the ceremony. We have Brigadier General John M. Druska. He's the commanding general of the 311th Sustainment Command Expeditionary, operating out of Los Angeles, California, but he lives in Columbus, Ohio. So General, welcome. He mentioned earlier it's a heck of a commute, but we're glad you had a shorter commute today to get up here to Spiegel Grove. We also have Chaplain Captain Daniel E. Hammond, who's with the 372nd Military Intelligence Battalion out of Cincinnati, Ohio. We also have Specialist Carmi Mahalik, who's with the 220th Public Affairs Detachment out of Southfield, Michigan. Sergeant David Barrett with the 220th Public Affairs Detachment, also out of Southfield, Michigan. And Staff Sergeant Luke Washburn is our bugler from the 338th Army Reserve Band. And our local color guard, we are so pleased to have you here with us today too. Composing our color guard is the Fremont VFW Post 2947, Fremont American Legion Post 608, Clyde VFW Post 3343, and PFC Russell Mook Detachment of the Marine Corps League. And now I would like to invite Chaplain Captain Hammond up for the invocation.
Good afternoon. Please join me in prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, what a privilege we have to call upon your name and to request your presence in this place. Your word reminds us that you remove leaders and raise up leaders. You give wise men their wisdom and scholars their intelligence. Today we honor President Rutherford B. Hayes, whom you provided to this nation wisdom, intelligence, and strength during and after the Civil War. His military insight and strength certainly directed his path to become one of the great presidents of our nation. President Hayes believed in the principles of the Declaration of Independence, the Sermon on the Mount, and in the Golden Rule. In the words of President Hayes, the achievement of independence and the establishment of popular self-government, of national unity and emancipation are great events linked with noble names and deeds, and with great progress and solid prosperity enjoyed by no other country in any age. Lord, we ask for your blessing upon us here today and bless this ceremony as we honor the life, leadership, and the legacy of President Rutherford B. Hayes. In your precious and holy name, amen.
So now it is my pleasure to introduce to you a little further Brigadier General John Druska. Brigadier General Druska was born at Belvoir, Virginia, and was a distinguished military graduate of The Ohio State University in 1992. He commissioned as a second lieutenant into the Quartermaster Corps from The Ohio State University ROTC program in 1992. He received his MSA in General Administration from Central Michigan University and a Master's Certificate in Government Contracting from George Washington University. His military education includes the Quartermaster Officer Basic and Advanced Courses, the U.S. Army Combined Arms and Services Staff School, the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College, the U.S. Army War College with a Master's in Strategic Studies, and the Joint and Combined Warfighting School at the Joint Forces Staff College, the Joint Professional Military Education II. Previously, Brigadier General Druska served as the director of the Counter-ISIS Train and Equip Fund in Kuwait from May 2020 through January 2021. Prior to this, he served as the deputy commander of the 311th Sustainment Command Expeditionary in Los Angeles, California from May 2008 through February of 2020. Before coming to the 311th ESC, he served as the commander of the 1st Brigade, Quartermaster, 94th Training Division from May 2016 through May 2018, where he commanded 5 subordinate quartermaster battalions in 5 states. From 2013 to 2016, he served as officer in charge of all reserve soldiers at the Tank Automotive and Armaments Lifecycle Management Command in Detroit, Michigan. In 2009, he served in Afghanistan as a Department of Defense civilian, working as the lead Class 9 planner for the President's Surge. In 2008, he served with Multinational Forces Iraq as a brigade-level operations officer and executive officer. He also commanded a logistics support team, battalion equivalent, under Combined Joint Task Detachment with the 101st Airborne Division to Somalia. There he served as the Research and Recovery Platoon Leader in support of Task Force Ranger and the United Nations Forces. Brigadier General Druska has also served in acquisition logistics assignments as a Joint Team Leader, Army Team Leader, Senior Project Manager, and a Deputy Joint Weapons System Integrator. Additionally, he served as a Battalion Adjutant, Battalion Supply Officer, Class 2, 4, and 7 Supply Support Platoon Leader, Division Petroleum Platoon Leader, and Class 1 Subsistence and Water Platoon Leader. Brigadier General Druska resides in Gahanna, Ohio with his wife Carol and children John and Taylor Ann. Welcome, General.
Christy and Elaine, thank you so much for having me here today. This is an absolute honor to get to speak to so many different great Americans on behalf of President Rutherford B. Hayes. Yeah, I would be remiss if I did not say thank you to all of our veterans that are here to pay service to President Hayes. It is amazing and it is great to see you still serving your country to this very day. You guys look absolutely fantastic, and I appreciate everything that you do. Absolutely great Americans. Thank you. To our families and to all veterans alike, thank you for coming and spending some time with us today. I promise I will not be long. I do have some words that I'm required to read, but if you will indulge me a little bit, I sometimes go off script because I think it's important to speak from the heart whenever possible. But I will hit some highlights that I absolutely have to hit because that's important as well. So, dear honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct privilege to serve as the official representative of President Biden to commemorate the 199th anniversary of the birth of President Rutherford B. Hayes, or Rutherford R. Hayes. Rutherford B. Hayes. This is my first time visiting Spiegel Grove, and it is easy to see why President Hayes found this such an incredible place to visit. Absolutely gorgeous. On the way up here, Command Sergeant Major Beppert, my reserve ambassador over here, and good friend from Association United States Army, and one of the great friends that I've been with for many, many years. We were driving along, and on the left side of the car, I just looked up and I said, "What is that?" And honest to God, and as God is my witness, Sergeant Major is my witness right there. Hey, yep. A gorgeous bald eagle was sitting there not on the road, but in the field, just sitting there, just looking up, looking at us, looking at him or her. And it was absolutely incredible to see, because it had been raining, the weather has not been great. I've been traveling all this week, just got back to Ohio yesterday, and it is amazing to come all the way back up to Ohio and see a bald eagle just sitting there as we're driving along coming up here. So the good Lord works in mysterious ways. And I can't think of a more important symbol of our nation's freedom, the flag and the American eagle. I mean, absolutely incredible. And it was so wonderful to see that eagle on the way up here today. Anyhow, the accomplishments that President Hayes achieved as a private citizen, a soldier, and a congressman, a governor, and president provide an extraordinary roadmap of selfless service. When our nation was at a crossroads, he volunteered to serve. Less than 1% of all Americans will ever serve their nation. President Hayes answered the call and he served. When our nation was at its crossroads, he stepped up at that time. First with his local outfit, and then later as a member of the 23rd Ohio Volunteer Infantry Regiment. President Hayes called his military service during the Civil War his golden years. During this time, he rose to the rank of brevet major general and was wounded in the Union victory at South Mountain, Maryland. I can only imagine what it would have been like to have been wounded in the time of the Civil War, when the common cure was to cut off the leg, to cut off the arm, without anesthesia. You could drink some booze. That's about it. When my friend got injured, one of my friends of the many that have been injured and killed along the way of my career, but I can remember in 2008 when a rocket came in and injured my friend in Baghdad, and within 20 minutes he was on the operating table. President Hayes was wounded. I guarantee you, he was not on an operating table within 20 minutes. So my heart goes out to those men and women that served their country back then, knowing that if you were to be wounded, it was almost certainly fatal. So, he was born in Delaware, Ohio, on March 4th in 1822, and he was raised by his mother, Sophia, and his uncle, Sardis Burchard. At the age of 12, President Hayes began to keep a diary, which was something he continued through the rest of his life. He once wrote, "My best reflection is that a life spent in duty must be well spent. Whose sense of duty is it to determine? Live according to your own conscience," is what he said when reflecting on his life in service to the nation. These are powerful words. And on July 5th, 1992, I served my own first day on active duty in the United States Army. 1 year and 1 month later, I was in Somalia for the first time. My first combat tour in 1993. And I will tell you, it means something to me to be with like-minded people today honoring President Hayes. Today is the 28th anniversary of when 5 of our Blackhawks were shot down, and my platoon was sent in to recover what we could from our brave soldiers who were killed that day with Task Force 160th and Task Force Ranger. So I'm very happy because everyone that was with me is no longer with me. They either have passed away, they've retired, they've gone on to do other things. I'm the last one left from my particular platoon on that day back in 1993. So I am absolutely overjoyed to get to share with fellow veterans, some stories of other veterans at the same time. And I do apologize. It's hard for me to get with my gloves on. It's very hard for me to turn the pages of the speech. So If you don't mind, I'm just going to take them off for a minute when we flip the pages here. Anyhow, President Hayes, his legacy as a soldier is well documented. He was a confident leader with the ability to inspire his men through example. He later commanded an infantry brigade under General Sheridan. President Hayes said of his decision to volunteer for military service, I would prefer to go into it if I knew I was to be killed than to live through it without taking any part. Talk about brave. Absolutely unbelievable to hear those type of words. While still in the Union Army, President Hayes was nominated for the House of Representatives for Ohio's 2nd District. He was elected without ever leaving his men, and he refused to take his seat in Congress until the fighting was over in 1865. President Hayes later served 2 highly successful terms as governor before returning here to Fremont and devoting himself to his private law practice. In 1875, at the insistence of his state party, President Hayes agreed to run for governor of Ohio a 3rd time. His victory made him a national figure and a front runner for the next Republican presidential nomination. Had his public service and political career ended there, we might still be standing here today honoring the legacy he left our country, but the presidency awaited him in a higher calling. President Hayes was elected the 19th President of the United States following the highly contested 1876 election. As president, he championed civil service reform, supported hard money policies, and worked to reconcile the North and South through ending Reconstruction. His honest and proven integrity revived the prestige of the presidential office. Throughout his years in war, in political service, and the presidency, President Hayes remained honest, optimistic, and decisive. He knew the power of compromise and worked tirelessly for fairness and equality for all of our country's citizens. Today, we emphasize that even in our military at every single opportunity. Whenever I write an evaluation for an officer or an NCO, on the very front, there's a box I have to check, and I have to write these words. Does this person treat people with dignity and respect? Folks, you don't have to be a perfect person in this world. And you don't have to like politicians, you don't have to like the military, you don't have to like everything that's going on in the world as we know it. But my golly, just treating people with dignity and respect and coming to compromise when we need to will make this world a better place. And that's what I saw in President Hayes as I was doing my reading. And I just could not believe how wonderful those words were to see that highlighted. To honor his memory, the Hayes family established the first presidential library here in Spiegel Grove a century ago. This library preserves President Hayes' 12,000-volume personal library along with material from his military and political career, in particular, his presidency. The museum is a walk through history and a great reflection of the life of service that he led. President Hayes not only left a tangible legacy written in his words, but he left a true and lasting legacy to humanity by serving a cause greater than his own. Just think about that for a minute. And what I just said a few seconds ago about putting others first, and about compromise, and about dignity and respect. What a great world we can still have if we just take a few minutes, to read to a child. Nobody said life is fair. Right? I learned that on my first day in the Army. When Theo Harvell said, "Suck it up, Buttercup," nobody said life is fair. But you know what? It isn't fair, and I understand that. You don't know who's got a sick mother who just lost a father. You don't know whose wife just lost her job after 30 years with the company. You just don't know these things. But I'll tell you what. Sergeant Donnie Martin squared me away from the 101st Airborne Division. I told him once we were going to work through the weekend. We needed to work through the weekend because we didn't get the job done. So bring all the soldiers in. We're going to inventory the entire warehouse this weekend. And one sergeant came up to me. One sergeant. He said, "Sir, you got a minute?" And I told him the same thing. I said, "Nobody said life is fair." He looked at me and said, "Sir, but why do we have to be unfair to the soldiers? Why do we have to be unfair? Because life's already unfair. Why can't we be fair to them?" And we'll work this weekend. Let the soldiers have the weekend off. The reason that we didn't get the job done is because we as leaders failed. We got to look in the mirror. We got to look at ourselves. You know? And you know what? That's what dignity and respect's about. It's about looking at other people and knowing that you are not necessarily in their shoes, but if you put yourself in their shoes, you might know that we've got to do those things out there to take care of one another. You know? And by golly, when I was reading about President Hayes and everything, just right along the lines, just absolutely amazing. And I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity to come and speak to you today. I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you for joining me today in commemorating the life and legacy of President Rutherford B. Hayes. On behalf of the President of the United States, I thank you for your commitment to this time-honored tradition. May God bless you all and keep our country safe.
God bless you.
Back on.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace Well, that concludes our ceremony today. This is one of our shortest programs that we probably do all year, but I think we pack more meaning per minute into this one. So thank you, Joan. Joan Eckerman, our vocalist today, is our events coordinator here on staff, and it's always helpful to have a trained opera singer on staff. Thank you for your music this morning, Joan. And thank you to Scott Pitts on our building and grounds crew here who got the site all prepared for us this afternoon, and Christina Smith, who's behind the camera there. She's our marketing and communications manager, and she'll have this up on YouTube, I think, shortly, and it was live streamed on Facebook, right? So hopefully that's okay with you all. I see some board members here, some of our members, guests. Thank you to our veterans. Thank you to our military. Appreciate you all being out here this afternoon. Thank you so much for coming. Safe travels home, and you are always welcome here at Spiegel Grove. Thank you.